Anyone who has ever tried to learn guitar improvisation inevitably falls into something called modes. Anyone who tries to learn modes inevitably meets the fact that it is really complicated to learn them. While the idea of modes, why we need them and where they come from, is not very complicated, applying that knowledge on the guitar, especially during improvisation, that's the part which gets really complicated. It seems like you need months or even years in order to learn them. But I have came up with a method which allows you to do exactly that. That is not a clickbait. Please trust me. I will show you something which you have never seen before. It is not even closely related to anything you have probably learned on the guitar. Stay tuned. Before digging into my method, let's cover modes real quick so that we are on the same page. If you know what modes are, you can skip right here. I will cover a lot more about modes than what you actually need in order to understand my method, but I will keep it stupid simple. Our guitar works in a so-called chromatic system, which contains 12 notes, which you probably already know. Western music is based on so-called diatonic system, which takes a subset of 7 notes out of this chromatic set. Diatonic system is based on one pattern. Take some root note and find subsequent notes by skipping double whole step, half step, triple whole step, half step. Taking some note and following this diatonic pattern gives you 7 notes of chosen scale. This specific pattern gives you notes of natural major scale. It is almost obvious that having this pattern, there are exactly 7 distinct ways to start counting all these intervals, each resulting in a different subset of 7 notes. Each of those 7 patterns is called mode and has its own name. By checking distance between root and third step, we can easily determine if this mode is a major or a minor one. Major mode will have 2 steps difference, while minor mode would have 1.5 step difference. There is also one with diminished triad, which nobody likes. Each mode gives you a unique combination of intervals relative to your key, which, when used correctly, can help you express unique coloring of your music. In order to do that, a musician can start off by establishing the key note and underlying triad. Then, if he emphasizes on playing special notes of this mode, the mode's character shines through, and melody gets that color of selected mode. What are special notes though? Finding them is very simple. If mode is major, then just compare all of its intervals with Ionian or natural major mode. You will find one interval which is different. For example, Lydian has raised 4th relative to natural major. Lydian has flattened 7th relative to natural major. Phrygian has flattened 2nd relative to natural minor. Whichever note is different is that exact special note of your mode I'm talking about, which, when used correctly and emphasized correctly, can express unique coloring of the mode. Now that we theoretically know how modes work, let's discuss how we can use them on a guitar. Given any key note, we can build up a scale from any mode we want. Let's count. We can have one of 12 root notes and one of 7 modes to choose from, resulting in 84 unique combinations. That's a lot. But if we look carefully, we will notice that every single of those combinations follows exactly the same pattern. This one, no matter what key and mode you choose, the layout of your 7 notes is exactly like that. The only difference is where this whole general pattern is shifted on your fretboard. Yep. Such simplification of course causes some loss of information. In this way we are unable to track which note plays which role in our scale. They are all treated the same. For example, this is G Lydian scale. This is A minor, which has exactly the same set of 7 notes. We see that placing of third, root, etc. is different. By erasing this information, we make these 2 scales to be exactly the same for us. I have called this method the MOKHOFF method, since that is my last name, just for fun. If that ever gets popular, then I don't know, I will just eat my pants. My method lets you identify 7 notes of your scale of interest across the whole fretboard, not in one simple box, but across the whole fretboard simultaneously. The MOKHOFF method consists of 2 parts. Quick visualization of this exact general pattern on the fretboard, and then quick visualization of where to shift this general pattern in order for it to fit your selected scale. It looks quite complicated to do, but I will soon explain how to do that easily. Wait a minute. So modes are meant to express different colors, to fill your melody with some specific atmosphere? Right. And that is done by emphasizing special notes of taken mode, special sounding intervals relative to the key? Yes. But you want to give me a method which just shows me which notes fit selected mode, but doesn't let me see any specific intervals within it. So I will not be able to reproduce unique mode sound. It means I will not be able to utilize the main reason modes even exist? Yep. But hear me out. In order to express some specific mode atmosphere, well, there is no other way than just to literally learn everything about the mode of interest, to learn all its intervals, where each step is located. You can do that if you want to gradually write musical piece. But here we are talking mostly about improvisation. I want to show you how to improvise not in, but over any selected mode without learning them all. And it will always sound good. But yes, you probably will not ever have any consistent sound, any consistent atmosphere, since you will emphasize every single note with the same frequency. Your melody will not even sound like it has some specific root, but it will fit your key, and that is our goal here. At a first glance, this pattern looks overwhelming. I mean, we were all shown a nice little box of A minor pentatonic scale, simple and cozy, but this one looks impossible to be visualized on a fretboard. Now follow the hands. Let's start with visualizing 2 red tunnels. Good. Skip 2 frets, visualize 3 green tunnels. Not very hard so far, right? Unfortunately, this is not completely correct. Let's do one small tweak to our 3 green tunnels. See? It is a bit different, but you can still imagine it as 3 green tunnels in your head with a small tweak afterwards. You won't believe it, but current, not completed version of this pattern is completely valid. You can fit it inside any diatonic scale, it just doesn't cover all of it yet. Pick up your guitar and try it right now. Pick any 2 red tunnels, for example these 2, skip 2 frets, and then pick some 3 green tunnels. Okay, not really complicated to imagine, huh? Now let's complete this. Fill those 2 empty frets with this simple symmetric purple shape. Extend our 2 red tunnels with almost the same, almost symmetric shape. Let's call all of these boxes. And that was it. All of those shapes are easy to visualize. Of course, it will take time to practice seeing that whole picture across your whole fretboard and not getting lost, especially when you try to quickly jump from lower registry of the fretboard to higher registry of the fretboard. But now you probably see that it is very doable. You just start by visualizing your 5 initial tunnels and then building up from there. If you have messed up and forgot where you are, you can just go back to your initial tunnels. I personally prefer to go back to red tunnels, since that's the simplest shape where every single note just fits. First part of the MOKHOFF method is completed. We have one more question to answer. Where to shift the boxes across your fretboard? In order to answer that, you will have to learn notes on one 6th string. Let me add a little line of modes on top of our boxes and call it modes map. Red ones are major, blue ones are minor. Green one is the one nobody likes. You need to learn how modes map is positioned relative to boxes. Never shift them relative to each other. Modes map is always fixed like that. Natural minor is always next to the middle green tunnel. Natural major is always next to that purple shape, and so on. Let's start with A minor. Everybody likes A minor and C major, right? So the first step would be to find A on your fretboard. Okay, that's right here on the 6th string. Minor means natural minor. Natural minor means Aeolian. Find where Aeolian is located in our modes map. It is located right here on the top of our green middle tunnel. That means that our finger located at the A node of 6th string is also located at the top green tunnel of our boxes. Also, please notice how cool is that. Those inlay dots perfectly fit our tunnels, so it is really easy to visualize A minor scale. We can try and improvise a little bit. Jump to red boxes. That's our purple shape right here, connected to the red boxes. That's where green tunnel connects to the purple shape. So you can like use three-finger positioning here. Go back. That's where red boxes connect to the green shape from this side. That was fun. Okay, let me now prove that it indeed works and that parallel scale will indeed end up in exactly the same positions. So we know that A minor has a parallel of C major. Okay, let's find C on your fretboard. That's here. Okay, now major means natural major, means Ionian. Okay, let's find where Ionian is located on our modes map. It is located at the beginning of that purple shape. If that is the beginning of our purple shape, that means that's the rightmost green tunnel. That means these are our green tunnels. And again, if that is the beginning of our purple shape, that means that is our two red tunnels. As you can see, the position has not changed. You just found exactly the same three green tunnels and two red tunnels, just not based out of A note plus minor scale, but C note and major scale. But that ends up in exactly the same position. And that's what I mean by erasing information about which note plays which role in our selected scale. A minor and C major will end up looking exactly the same for us. We will not sound particularly minor or particularly major here. We will just sound random, but we will sound good. Okay, now let's do something completely different here, which will end up in a completely different position. Let's take D Lydian. D is right here on the 6th string. Remember where Lydian is positioned on our modes map. So if this D at that starting point of 3rd red tunnel, then this means that these are our two red tunnels. Here is our purple shape, and here are only two visible tunnels of our green shape. You can switch to purple shape right here. Connects to the red shape. By the way, did you notice how far away we have started because of D note right here? Sometimes it is not very convenient to start at the end of the fretboard, especially if you know that you're only gonna play somewhere here. So is there a way to start building up from the beginning of the neck rather than from the end? Yes, it is indeed possible. The problem here is that we were tied to the 6th string because we find both note and shape relative to the 6th string. What we can do here is to extend our modes map to also contain modes relative to box positions on 5th string. So D Lydian, find D note on the 5th string. So on the 5th string, Lydian is located right here. Please notice that I'm pointing at box position on 5th string, not on 6th one. And that means that very next note is the 3rd green tunnel. You see how we have found exactly the same position of D Lydian scale, but now not counting from the 6th string, but from the 5th string. So we can start playing right here at the beginning of the fretboard. It is actually not very hard to figure out the modes map for any single string, so you can extend it as you wish, because now you're not attaching yourself to a single option of starting off in some inconvenient place. Technically, that is the end of my method, but there is so much more to it, so don't go away. This method has such an amazing potential for further extension. Let me show what I mean. For example, we have fixed mode maps on top of our boxes. We can also add bar chords map. Here you can see that for any given scale, we can easily find 3 major chords and 3 minor chords, each having 2 versions, bar chord out of 6th and 5th string. If you learn how those chords sit relatively to our boxes, you can very quickly find them on a fretboard. For example, this major chord is always there between left and middle green tunnel. This minor chord is always there relatively to the middle and right green tunnels. When playing some scale, let's say C Lydian, you might not even know how those chords are called, but you 100% know that they fit your scale and will sound good. You can find any chord shapes here and fix them inside your boxes. Imagine how many knowledge you can put into this system and just shift it together with your boxes. You can learn only once where your 7th chords are located relative to those boxes and play them in any key you want without learning anything new. They are always in the same relative position to your tunnels. So this method has a built-in functionality of add-ons. The important part is to be good with visualizing and shifting boxes. Whatever you attach inside just comes with it. Just imagine what you can do here. You can visualize where your favorite licks and runs lay within the boxes and shift them without even thinking. So that was it for the MOKHOFF method. You know, I was struggling to wrap my head around all of those 100,000 shapes which we are constantly shown on YouTube, and tried to come up with something more universal. I'm a software developer and I really enjoy R&D stuff. I like to find elegant solutions to complicated problems. Of course, any engineer knows that it is a game of balance, and always has been. You always sacrifice something. As I have mentioned before, such generalization erases information about specific roles of each node within the scale. Every single node is just treated equally. But this one shape, the boxes, contains every single shape you have ever learned on the guitar, at least within diatonic system. I hope there will be at least someone who will be inspired by this as much as I am. It is funny, but I actually haven't had enough time to become fluent in my own method and quickly improvise over any key I was given. It takes like 30 seconds for me to, getting tuned up, remembering my tunnels positions, not getting lost. Especially it is harder if tunnels don't fit the inlay dots on the fretboard. It is harder to see them that way. But I'm confident that this approach is super powerful. I don't see any other way how you can find notes of literally any scale in a scope of like a week of practice. And again, further extension of this with chords map and whatnot, any additional information you want to shift with the boxes, makes me really hyped up and excited to share it. You are a hero if you have watched until this very moment. I really appreciate you. Play guitar and, just enjoy every single second of it.